The media have never been benign towards me, shall we say. It's been a complex relationship. After the election, I was tidying up my study and I kept the newspapers from polling day, and I read the Daily Mail. There was page after page after page of how evil I was, how appalling the Labour Party was. And anyway, I read this thing through. I thought, my God, I wouldn't want to live in the same street as this fellow Corbyn. He's obviously totally evil. He's really bad news in every way. But on one level, it's so absurd, it's funny, but you know what? This kind of endless, totally negative reporting matters because it affects people's lives. It's designed to disempower people. I was condemned in the general election for wanting to take into public ownership mail, rail and water.
With a £1.2 trillion spending splurge that will be instantly rejected by the markets.
Well, rail's already been taken into public ownership by the Tories. It was the only way they could keep rail service running during this crisis. All that condemnation of everything we said about the economy was designed to disempower people, that they've got to live in an unequal society. They've got to accept that there is a super wealthy 1% who've got super wealthy during a period of austerity, and there is a mass of people over here who've had frozen wages, cuts in education, cuts in health, cuts in housing. Obviously, we need a free media. We need a responsible and responsive media in our society, and we need plurality and diversity in our media. We don't have that. We have a small number of newspapers owned by a small number of people who have their own agendas. The Daily Mail is full of surprises, but they're usually not very good ones. The farming community has relied for a very long time on migrant labour to come and do that work. Because of coronavirus, there's been a sort of desperation of charter flights bringing migrant labour from Romania and other countries to come here and help with our agriculture. Well, thank you and welcome to all of those people that have come. So could the Daily Mail and the Daily Telegraph and the Daily Express and all the other papers tone down their rhetoric about the value of migrant workers to our society and recognise, to paraphrase what a previous Prime Minister said, in this situation, we're all in it together. I think this coronavirus crisis has shown that the arguments for social justice, for environmental sustainability through a green industrial revolution are actually very strong. The socialist values and socialist ideas that we were putting forward in that election campaign have actually come full circle. It's important that our children won't suffer the problems that maybe we suffered or maybe our parents or grandparents suffered, that the next generation will be better off than the last generation. It's important that we always maintain that sense of hope for people. This is the traditional moment during an interview where we have a word from our sponsors. The only problem is there aren't any sponsors to give us a word. You, all of you, are the sponsors for Double Down News. So go online, join up, support Double Down News. It's actually genuinely very independent. Join Double Down News on Patreon.